Okay. Uh, can a small Chinese school get me a work visa? You may be asking yourself, can one of those schools get me a work visa? Now, I believe the majority of teaching job advertisements posted out there on the internet, the majority are coming from small and medium-sized Chinese schools. And most of them are teaching kids or adolescents, teenagers, high school age, the whole. Usually they're kids, um, and because they're private, oftentimes they're able to pay you a wage that is far in excess, substantially more than the government schools. So the question may ask you, hey, well, how, I need a legal I need a legal basis for living and staying in China. I have to have the government's permission to be there and working. And that translates into a working visa, at least on the face of it, on the surface of it. So, can these schools get me a visa? The answer is the vast majority of those small private training institutions, which may have very nice facilities, two or three branches, um, all these things uh, that give you the sense that they're a powerful institution or something, and they may have some good money behind them. Many of them have some significant assets and good financial backing. They do, many of them do. But most of them cannot get you a visa. Most of them absolutely can't. Okay, but so what? And you're saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, but so what? I don't understand it. Well, here's how it works. Um, or here's what people are doing. And again, I am only reporting on this. I'm just commenting on it. I'm talking about a phenomenon, an existing phenomenon in Chinese society, in the Chinese English teaching world, in the market for teachers, the market for teaching and English learning in China. Okay, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm just saying that so many people are doing it. It's just obvious. Okay, just period. Um, Now, many of those schools will admit up front that, well, we can't get you a working visa, we'll get you a business visa. Um, or if you're a non native speaker, they may say we can get you a work visa, but then later they find out you're not from America, Australia, Ireland, Great Britain, or Canada, United States, and they go, oh, well, you definitely have to do a business visa. But even if you are from one of those countries, most of those schools will still need you to get a business visa. Um, Now, so what does that process look like? What do they do? Normally, what would happen is if, let's say, you meet with a school here in China, you're on any visa in China, tourist visa, your own business visa, temporary visa. It could be 3 months, it could be 2 months, it could be 1 month, it could be whatever. And you meet them here in South China somewhere, or in Hunan, or in Guangxi, Fujian, whatever, wherever you want to be. And they offer you a job. You've met with them. Hey, you kind of get along with them. You like them. They believe you're from. They've looked at your passport. They know you're from Great Britain or Australia or Canada, and they go, yeah, And the parents are going to believe that he's a native speaker. You're not an alcoholic or a drunk or whatever it is, or you don't. At least you don't keep your partying to a minimum. Um, you just go out on weekends, whatever, but you're presentable, you make an effort, you're friendly. So you've got your offer. Now, normally, what would happen then is the school will say, hey, well, here's the deal. We'd know an agent, um, and you can use them. You don't have to use their agent, but for convenience, normally they'll have somebody they know, oftentimes in Hong Kong, but not necessarily. Sometimes people will get business visas within China. They'll pay the local school operator some money. They'll take your passport, and then, in a week or two or whatever, they'll come back and you'll have your official Chinese visa in there. Now, what that means is they've just paid somebody, and behind closed doors, they paid them their 4,000 renminbi or their 7,000 renminbi or their 5,000, whatever it is they've got, whatever deal they've got going, or 3,000. Which all those prices are high. You can get them a lot lower just yourself. You don't have to pay those kind of rates, but some people do that. Um, uh, and then you'll go and you'll meet the agent maybe in Hong Kong. Or you might go. It might be that they know someone and the agent is in Hong Kong, so you'll go there and you will have them process your business visa, and then you'll come back across the border and you'll start teaching. Now, these business visas, sometimes they are for a year, and sometimes they're for 6 months. As I understand it, the 6 months ones, if you get one of those, that you don't have to leave China during that 6 month period. If you get a year long one, you usually have to leave every 2 months, or you have to leave every 3 months. And what that means is that you would take a quick trip across the border, either up north or you do it down south. But most people, if you're anywhere towards the south of China, you just go across the border in Hong Kong for 5 minutes and you come back across. And you do that every, 2 or 3 months, whatever the terms of your visa. It will say that, how long you can be in China each time. And so in 1 year, you might have gone over to Hong Kong 6 times. Maybe each time you only go for a day. It doesn't cost any money to cross the border. And a lot of people just go across for like an hour and then they come right back across. And believe me, there are thousands of people who do that. Thousands and thousands of people do that. Okay? Now, why would you... Here's another question, though. Assuming that it even makes... Assuming... For some people, it does make economic sense to do that. That they want to teach in a smaller city, they can get a decent wage there, and you just decide to do that, whatever your reasons are. And if you do want to be in one of those smaller cities, and you want to teach kids, have a closer environment, a more private, personal environment, you want more flexibility, you want a higher wage than the government schools are offering you, okay? I mean, that's the bottom line, is you will get more money there, okay? Then, so you decide you're going to do it. Also, you normally can quit and go to any other school if you do it that way. And believe, as this video will continue to explain, once you've got your business visa, the school has no power over you. But let me talk about that a little bit more so you understand what's going on. So you don't waste a bunch of time and you don't get taken advantage of by a school, and it give you a little bit of context for what's happening. Now, how do these schools, you may be asking yourself, wait, how do these schools manage this apparently illegal situation? How do they manage it legally or politically? In terms of the local government agencies and bodies, the local Gonganju, the local public security departments, essentially local police stations. The actual political legal framework in China is slightly different. So you might think it's sort of strange that why do you have what's called a police agency dealing with visas? Don't they have an immigration department? Well, it's slightly different here, okay? So, but suffice it to say, you're right to be questioning or wondering, well, on a practical level, a day-to-day basis, what keeps the Chinese authorities from just showing up and closing the school down? Why don't they do that? Well, here's what you will discover. during the process of getting to know the school and them interviewing you, and after you're well on your way to getting your visa, etc., at some point it's likely that the owner or one of the main managers or a co owner of the school will allude to or imply the existence of connections, or that they know somebody, they have some guanxi. Uh, and it may well be that they do. Okay, it may well be that they do. But what does that really mean? And what's the extent of it? And how does this affect your situation? Well, it may be that the school knows somebody who knows someone in the local branch of government who would be called upon to send someone out and do a local spot check of the businesses in that area. And so when it comes time to making a list for a spot check, and just as a footnote, you may or may not know that Chinese tax policy and the implementation of Chinese tax law, it involves at least a 1 yearly visit by a local government official to the actual physical place of business. Okay. So when it comes time to making the list of, for example, a spot check, whether it's in conjunction with taxation or for any other reason, that business, the owner of the school you're working for, will not be on that list because somebody has been paid money. Okay? You don't know how that money has gotten there. You're not sure where and who, but believe me, that's how it's happened. And so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they're operating a school because the local government office with jurisdiction over the place of business where your school is friendly with the police officer, so nobody's going to come and look and deport a foreigner, or say, hey, where's your work visa, or come with us to the police station, or anything like that. Okay? Now, another thing that may occur to you, and it will certainly occur to you when you go to the government agency to register, every person, after you get your business visa, your work relationship is different than your relationship to your visa. That's the first thing you need to understand. There's a difference between the relationship between the school where you're working, let's say it's your small school in Huizhou or Shantou, one of these smaller cities, or somewhere in Fujian, wherever, and your visa. Your visa, you could get that yourself. All right? Now, it may dawn on you when you go to register your visa, you will need to, everyone needs to register until, this is something you need to register yourself as a foreigner in China. And when you do that, you have to show them your passport, and it's easy. You need to show them your visa, and they'll write all this stuff down. Okay, but it's not, when you register your visa, that does not relate to your employment situation. And I've never had anyone ask me whether I'm working. Okay, they make copies of everything, and they just need to make sure that they track you and know where you are. That's just what they do. And what will happen next, but you will see there in the form that you fill out, what is your visa category and what's the purpose and what are you doing here? At that point, where in my case, I have a work visa, so I just say I'm working here. I write that in the thing. It's not as though when you register your visa, they're going to be interrogating you. That never has happened to me. Nobody does that, and they don't care. Now, you don't want to write in there, if you were on a business visa, you would write in there something like consulting. I'm just consulting with people. Okay, I'm just doing some consulting. Exploring business opportunities. After all, that's the purpose of a business visa. Okay, that's why the United States and China have treaties on business visas, and so that there can be an exchange of trade. There's trade happening, right? Or you're considering business opportunities, or that type of stuff, exchange, doing some cultural exchange, talking about things. But you don't say, well, I'm working at this school. Well, they don't have. So at any rate, now, um, one thing you need to be thinking, well, wait a minute. If I'm working for one of these private schools and I don't have a work visa, what happens? One thing that I have heard a lot about is these schools, if the relationship doesn't go right, they might try to blackmail you and say, oh, we have connections. We have connections. And certainly, if they're the ones who helped you get the visa in the first place through their agent, they may believe that you're naive or foolish or uncertain enough regarding the situation that they could tell you, well, we'll revoke your visa. They'll insinuate that they'll revoke your visa. And you can read a lot of questions online about this, and even some YouTube videos, etc. And they try to make all these guesses about what's going on. But when you consider the fact that the institutions within the Chinese government structure, the institutions responsible for issuing your visa are totally fucking different and separate than the ones that then the local government agency that is in cahoots with your local school. And I say in cahoots, that I'm just saying that they have no power to revoke a visa. Okay, they have no power to revoke a visa. None of them do. And in matter of fact, when you think about it, it'll become very clear to you that there's no possible way they could. You see? There's no possible way they could revoke your visa. And in this sense, I believe this is part of the reason why so many people elect to go ahead and go on business visas and do it this way, because it gives you a lot more power between yourself and your employer. Okay, your ability to just walk away and go to the next job. Okay, because there's no way they could ever possibly report you when what they're doing is illegal. Imagine that. They contact one of the national level organizations, not a local police station in charge of enforcing tax collection or the registration of foreigners or anything like that. Imagine, what are they going to say? He's running away and not honoring his contract with us, but we don't have a right to, we're employing him illegally. I mean, come on, there's no fucking way. They could potentially get in trouble for that. There's no way that anyone is going to help them. Okay, that it's inconceivable. All right. First of all, potentially, if they're trying to convince you to stay at a school or do something they want, because your legal right to stay in the country is contingent on a proper and continuing cooperative or successful employment relation with them, then they're admitting two things. One, there must be bribing someone to allow this activity to continue on, and it may be that they are, or it may be that they aren't. It may be simply that they know that in this particular area, the police are not doing anything about it. Okay, and that can be a separate discussion. There are separate issues and why that is. Okay, but I don't have time to go into any of them here. They're not that complex, but at any rate, it's separate. Or number two, they're violating the work laws, the employment laws, and the immigration law in China, which says that you have to have a work visa to be working. So they would be admitting to, one, bribing somebody to get a visa, okay, because they're not responsible for that, and two, violating the employment laws, illegally employing foreigners. So they'll never do that, okay? So this you've got to understand. If you have your business visa and you get it yourself, and you go get one of these jobs, they can never call the police on you. It's just, they won't do that ever. Okay, they won't involve the police with you in any, they won't involve in any disputes they have, and nor will they sue you. I know a guy who was told me the whole story about this particular school, and actually I know the owner of the school. He told me it's amazing. They were threatening him to sue him and these things. Sort of made me laugh. And I think he was not, he didn't, I don't know how educated he is. He's a really nice guy. He's traveled all over the world. He's from America, and they're just trying to trick you. They're trying to bluff you out of it. They're using intimidation. They will bully you this way. Okay, you just don't pay attention to that. It's not going to happen. Just whatever. It's a joke. So at any rate, now another thing, they usually like they usually like it when you show up and you already have a business visa anyways, because that means they don't have to worry about you going off to Hong Kong, maybe not coming back, and so it's usually better to do it that way, as much as I understand. I don't know for sure because I don't do it, but okay.